All right, good afternoon. We're here with PrepHam Paul, named his channel on YouTube. And he's with us today at the Moore Expo in Springfield with a lot of other hams. And we're at the Nixa Amateur Radio Club set up here, which is a very nice remodeled trailer. I had some questions for you, and you've got a YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
What motivated you to start your YouTube channel, and how did you come up with the name PrepHam Paul?
So I've done a couple videos in the past, how to like wires X, how to connect and that. Just a couple without thinking of anything like a YouTube channel, just to help people, because I go to YouTube a lot for stuff.
Yeah.
And then we were at a field day, and one of my buddies has a channel, and he had me on talking, and he said, "You should really do this. You should do this. You got this personality, whatever." And I said, no, I don't have enough time, this and that. That's the short story of how I got into it. I found that giving more information out is helpful. When I come across things, my experience might be different than your experience.
Right.
Even if we both do the same video on YouTube, it can help people. So I thought, what the heck, and I'll start doing it. And I love emergency preparedness, and I love ham radio, so Prep is from prepare, and ham is from ham radio, and Paul is from my name.
That makes perfect sense. Well, your presentations are widely admired for being educational and approachable. What's your secret for keeping viewers engaged?
Well, I do more live streaming than I do videos, and when I live stream, sometimes a lot of the time now I'll bring other people in, other YouTubers in, so it becomes a discussion and just not just me explaining something from my perspective or me telling people how I see it. You get more perspectives by inviting more people, and what I call it when we get together and do my live streams, it's my PrepHam Paul channel, but I call it my Rag Chew crew. So we're the Rag Chew crew, and we just sit there and bring up a topic, and we just start rag chewing about the topic.
That's awesome.
Various perspectives, various experience, and things that get into the conversation. So.
Well, and emergency communications, I know, is a big theme in your content. Some of the essential tips for building a reliable setup for emergencies.
Essential tips. First off, what you can afford, of course, right?
Right.
And I've been through so many antennas trying to do the NVIS, which is getting communication more closer than further, for those who don't get that. But and that takes specific antennas, right, in the right time of day or night. So the tips I would say would be, what's your targeted area? Who do you want to contact, right? So for most, it might just be local, which the local repeater can be used and a handheld can be used. But if it's a more widespread area affected thing where those things aren't working, then you might want to look a little bit further. So if I'm affected here in Missouri, I might want to be reaching people over in Oklahoma, which takes a little bit different setup. Maybe a different type of radio, a different type of antenna. So you need to find the target. What do you want to use your emergency communications for? Is it just your family? And that's a different way.
Right.
And so find your target. How do you want emergency communications to fit in your family or individual preparedness plan, and then tailor your radios and antennas and equipment to fit that target.
I see.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, you've often talked about go boxes. What's your ultimate recommendation for someone designing their very first go box?
Well, you could take that back to the previous question. So again, if you're making it for that emergency communications, what's the target, and then build the box around that. Whether it's a box that's this size, or if it's a backpack, or it could be in a plastic tub, or it could be in an expensive Pelican case. It just depends. So if you're wanting just local, it might just be a little shoulder strap backpack with a couple HTs in it. Or it could be a larger setup in a larger backpack, or whatever. So again, I would look at what you're wanting, and then find the radios and equipment you want to use for that, and then find the backpack box that fits into that, or your equipment fits into that box.
Awesome. If you could collaborate with any other ham tuber or YouTuber, who would you pick and why?
Well, I'm kind of we kind of collaborate off and on. There's become a community of ham radio YouTubers. Some have an overlanding talk, and some have, which I like, but it's not really part of my channel. Some have a preparedness side, some have a different side. I think probably the one that I've watched the most, because it kind of plays into both my preparedness and ham radio, is the Tech Prepper, the stuff that he does. Because now his software side is beyond, I don't do programming. But when I see him put together a pack, which he called a man pack, and he actually goes out and uses it, tests it, finds targeted contexts. I'm going to reach this guy this time of day, and then uses the antenna or frequency that gets to that context. So I love that kind of stuff. So of all the ones that influenced me, or that I would like on that same mindset that my channel is about, it would probably be Tech Prepper, even though most of the YouTubers that are here today, and they kind of all have that same type of a mindset. Most of them have MCOM, emergency communications, in mind. So I collaborate with any, because I like everything about ham radio and preparedness, so it doesn't matter. So Grayman POTA or Ham Radio 2.0 or Tank Radio, I try to collaborate with whoever wants to collaborate and talk about ham radio. That's what it's about.
That's great. That is what it's about.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have any advice for someone new who may be interested in getting into amateur radio? They don't know where to start. What would you recommend?
If you know nothing of ham radio, where to start is find your local club. So, and once you get into that club, you're going to have all these members of that club with all their experience. They're going to have all types of radios, antennas, that you can, instead of blindly going in and buying this or buying that, you could probably use the antennas. Like if it was locally, right, they could come out and they could use this Yaesu 710 and a hex antenna from Alpha. And then you can get advice and get hands-on radios that you might, well, I don't really like this about this radio, but when I played with that radio, like ICOM, I like this about that radio. And then you can make a better informed decision, of course, within your budget. But the number one thing I would say, find your local club and join it.
Absolutely good advice,
Yeah.
I think. Let our viewers know when you drop new content on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, predominantly YouTube, but I stream on basically all the platforms every Sunday night at 8:30 Central. So if you watch Ham Radio 2.0, I'm pretty much right after Jason's stream. And it's 8:30 every Sunday night, at least an hour of conversation. We've gone as long as 3 hours. I'm probably not going to go that long anymore, but that's pretty much it. I do videos off and on, but it's mostly live streams. I'll probably do a live stream later today.
Awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being with us and sharing your thoughts on amateur radio today from the More Expo.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
All right.